Welcome to the Alchemist Nation podcast. We are a community of business and real estate professionals who are on a shared mission to help every individual achieve financial freedom through right action, the right knowledge, and the right accountability. Join me, Andrew McMurray, and my co-host Mitch Jaworski as we find and interview those who have mastered wealth and who have a desire to share their wisdom with you. Enjoy!
Welcome to another episode of the Alchemist Nation podcast. I am your host, Mitch Jaworski, and I'm here with my co-host, Andrew McMurray. We have another awesome guest for you, and it's going to be exciting because this is our first female guest. So finally, getting it done. Females crushing the game. Andrew, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
Outstanding as always, Mitch. Thanks for asking. Yeah, man, today's guest, I'm excited. We have Darina Pogodina, and I think I pronounced your last name right. I'm not sure. But so Darina, let me tell you a little bit about her before we bring her on. Darina is a very key player in Alchemist Nation. And I'll just say right off the bat, pretty much the main engine, mastermind, and whole event architect behind the 100 Millionaires Summit. So when you come in November, what you've experienced before, you can thank Darina for all of your growth and all of your evolution at the end of the day, because we wouldn't have the event without her. But so she came here from Russia. She originally had a Russian background. And in Russia, in that background, she didn't learn a lot in terms of financial literacy. That wasn't there. The abundance mindset, everything we talk about, those components weren't really there. So she came here to America, which in itself is a whole transition, a whole evolution. But then she came here with the goal, and that was to challenge the status quo, what the financial status quo was for herself. She ended up becoming an expert in real estate, bought up a bunch of properties, and then decided she wanted to help other people challenge the status quo for themselves. So she ended up starting a multifamily investor network of Massachusetts and built a community of over 3,000 members, helping first-time investors buy property. And again, challenge the status quo. And since then, Darina's been incredibly pivotal in helping Alchemist Nation grow its community. And now we've got over 7,000, maybe 10,000 members across a couple platforms. And but on top of all that, Darina spends plenty of time balancing her life with her personal passions, which include traveling, hanging out with Elena Cardone on yachts, and raising horses. So it's incredible. Darina, how do you do it all? But thank you for being here with us. And how are you doing? What's going on?
Thank you, guys. What an amazing introduction. I am excited and honored to be on the Alchemist Nation podcast. And thanks so much for such amazing introduction. I
Crushed it.
I'm going to use it now.
Yes.
I'm curious.
Great. Thank you.
What made you come over to the United States? You came on your own? Did you have support, or was that all you?
Great question. It was all me. I wanted to have an adventure, and I was 22, just turned 22, and I wanted to see if it's possible for me, because when I was growing up, I had lots of love from my parents and my family, and they made me make my own decisions all the time. And so I knew there's always more. And one day I'll just get out of here, which I do love my family. I come to Russia, visit them twice a year minimum. And so, but I always knew okay, I'm gonna explore my poverty situation currently is just temporarily. I'm gonna go. And then so I met a friend who said why don't you go to United States? And I'm like, excuse me, what are you talking about? United States? It was like going to Mars. And but then I contemplated on the idea. I asked my parents, hey, would you mind, can I borrow $1,000? Which I thought was gonna kick my ass, but it's let me think about it. I'm like, what do you mean you have $1,000 somewhere hiding? And so fast forward, I came here a few times just for the summertime, and then I decided to move. Actually not really move, but live here for a few years. And I just stayed because things were going well. But I was adventurous. It was risky, but I did.
Wow. That's wild. So when did you, things were going well when you decided to come here for a few years? So you got some stuff done. When did you start buying like real estate?
So real estate, like many of us think that okay, real estate or success or being rich is for someone else. It's not for us because wait, look at my parents, look at my friend circle. It's not for us. It's not for how I was born, who I surround with, and where I'm going. And so I never actually thought of real estate investing. And again, it seemed to be just not even an option. So my success idea was to work for corporate America. So when I'm saying things were going well, it means that I got a couple of internships at corporate America. So I'm like, I'm making it, like I'm living an American dream, you know. I come here, I get papers, I study, I go to college for 2 years, I have A's. I don't know how I survive because international students, they have to pay a little bit more, which means 3 times more for their tuition. And then I got an internship at a Newport Yachting Center, and after that at Fidelity Investment. I'm like, okay, great. So of course I was fighting for a full-time position, which eventually I got with the Landry's Corporation, which is a huge corporation for hospitality. They own over 10,000 locations for restaurants, and they own hotels in Las Vegas. So I was there for 7 years, and I thought I made it until one morning I got an email. Hey, why don't you like come and learn about finances? And it was like free seminar, and I came because I thought, okay, maybe I'll learn how to manage my credit cards because I'm a spender. Now, like maybe there's something I can learn. And they were talking about Robert Kiyosaki's journey and his book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'm like, excuse me, am I in the right room? And apparently I was. So that kind of was like a whole mind shift. And that was 2015. So I came to America in 2010. So it took me 5 years to come across this book, this community, and I thought I just tapped into a super secret society of poor people becoming rich.
The
It was so
infamous
exciting.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad book.
It was so like my friends don't know about it. Like I'm just like I can't even tell them this because they would think I'm crazy. But yeah, I just signed up for a course that was $25,000, and I they opened the credit card with me right there. We maxed everything I had. And a lot of people actually complain, like, oh, they just took my money, blah, blah, blah. But I am blessed that I actually put myself into such debt. And it did open the door. This program was for a year with a company who was teaching me the basics, but also really opening the doors to learn. And I eventually obviously paid my credit cards off, and I ended up buying my first duplex in Massachusetts. And it was infinite return because I refied in a year, and it was just like money back and cash flow and all the time. So it was one of the best investments. Someone didn't, nobody wanted the house, but I bought it, and I sold it last year for a profit. I kind of like it just got started because I think it's the same idea. It's like, okay, let me move to the United States and go crazy with no money or actual plan and see how it goes. So real estate was the same, almost like a pattern. Let me jump in and see if it works out. And I did, and I'm happy I did, and kind of get started. So I guess
Well,
I
I mean,
hope
there's
it
a
answers.
pattern though with everything, and and this is obviously a theme that comes up with all the guests, and it's generally the taking action, and that's the theme of your story so far. I mean, from obviously coming to America to then going to school here, so you can start essentially, making some headway and creating a life here, to then, all right, I don't know anything about really financial literacy, and you end up at a seminar, and you stumble across, a book that is obviously very popular and got a lot of people started in real estate, but then you did something with that, and then you went and got more education. And, even though you spent a good chunk of money on the education, you did something with it. And that's the big thing. It's just like, whether someone spends $1,000, $10,000, $100,000 on education, it's only valuable if you do something with it. So, and that's pretty much, every step of the way. And oh, let me try this. Well, you made it almost sound like it was like kind of like a risky bad thing, but not really, because it's like, let me try this, because basically you're like, all right, I'm going to try this, and I'm going to do the things within whatever, that realm is, and see if it's for me, or if it works out, or if this is the path. And if it was, great, like with real estate, or if not, it's like you shift gears. So pretty cool.
Thank you. I think honestly, to add to your valuable comment is that success breeds success. So I not only jumped in just out of the blue, I watched other people being successful. And I think that's the beauty of America, because I have an analogy, and maybe it's a Russian thing, but America and America's business model, it's almost like a video game. If you follow the rules and you practice enough, you go to the next level and you do the things that you're supposed to do. There are rules there, there's steps, you go through it, you go to the next level, and to the next level, and to the next level. So it's very, actually, like, pretty straightforward, because it's just like, do this, do this, do that. And it's not like, there's a success track record of other people doing these steps, and so do that and you'll get to where you want to be. So many other countries, people don't realize, do not have that platform or a set of rules or set of strategies, or in a way, honesty. Because even though people say, like, America is such a, like, it's a system, blah blah blah, it sucks, but at least you guys have a system. Because a lot of countries don't. And so knowing the system and knowing how to work with the system, you can be very successful, because it's very predictable and it's very straightforward. And so I think America is really a great country to do anything you want, as long as you follow the rules. And another point is, like, I didn't really have much to lose. Like, okay, if it doesn't work out, I'll go back home. But of course, that was like last resort. Like, I don't know what needed to happen for me to do that. So I just want everybody to know, like, in America, just use your golden goose who produces golden eggs, pay your taxes, be happy paying bills, because it gives you the platform of doing the things that you want to do. And it's like, there's no, like, it's easy in United States compared to other space or countries in other
So
countries,
good.
in other world.
So
Yeah.
good. I mean, because that perspective you have, obviously the majority of people that are here don't have, because they grew up here. They've never seen anything different, and you have so many people that just have that negative mindset in terms of like, oh, like this is BS and it's all rigged and blah, blah, blah. But the difference is, like you said, no, like that's great. Like it's like a game. Like if you do the things, you'll have the success, as opposed to, other countries where it's like there's no opportunity for that. And I think that, you have that perspective is not only a positive, but it, like, almost like sort of gives you a leg up on a lot of people that were born here, because they're just like ungrateful, you know what I mean? Because they don't have the
Sure.
perspective. So, and that's why, gratitude is important and perspective is important. And, you kind of have that disposition as a default, because you know what the opposite side looks like. And,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I like, you came here from another country. You obviously had to start from scratch as an adult, as opposed to growing up here, where you at least have some resources, right? And you kind of followed the blueprint. You saw how the game is played. And I think it's just a testament for anyone that, any young person that's here that's, wanting to complain, and that, like, oh, they're screwed, the system is rigged. It's like, well, here you go. Here's an example of you're wrong. So it's
Right,
beautiful.
right. No, thank you. And you may have a next question, but I just want to add, like, like in America, you have this expression: it's easy to teach like a puppy new tricks than an old dog,
Yes.
because I was like a new puppy, like teach me anything, I'll do what I need to do. And the other thing is like we take like born Americans, a lot of times they do take things for granted, and it's almost like if you go to the water, to the ocean, and you swim with a fish and you tell the fish, ah, the water is amazing. It's so nice. And the fish turns and to you and asks, "What's the water?"
Yep.
So we just sometimes don't know um, where we are if we don't step out of our comfort zone, or we don't step out of our environment and put ourselves in something different so we can actually evaluate.
Absolutely.
Agree. And it's interesting. I love to see, because you come at it with that gratitude and almost like it's true. Like we understand that it's a game and there's a system, but like being born within the system, it's like it's like a prison. Like I have to work through the system. But you coming from outside of it, it's like that puppy dog energy, but like you have the gratitude that like, okay, there's a game here I can play with endless levels. And because you're like enjoying being in each level, it seems like you're way more present and able to pick up the skills and tools that that level has for you, right? Because you came and you say, okay, well, I started out in corporate world because I thought that was the dream, but you were working in hospitality, you said, right?
Mhm.
So I'm sure that's where you learned a lot of skills and tools that you use towards your event hospitality now, right? And then like you dove into real estate, so that gave you a path towards wealth building. And then you dove into the next level of, you found a community of people who can help you with the knowledge and the network to build that even more. And it seems clearer to me like how like you're jumping into each of these levels and just picking up skills and picking up tools and rolling it into the next thing. So like now next you're like, okay, let me take hospitality, real estate, and a community and go build my own. Like that's the next level. It's very interesting. I like that.
Thank you. No, I love it. It's actually so interesting because I did come back to hospitality. Like I did come back to hospitality.
In
Like
essence, yeah.
it's so crazy. Um, that I studied it here and then I worked and I'm like, screw that. I'm gonna be rich and do real estate because that's the way. And then after meeting real estate investors and Walter, and even like at the same time I met Matt Picheni, Eric Bowling, Maurizio Raul, like we all were kind of like hanging out. And I went to Radcliffe's boot camp, and it all came down to network and networking events. And then someone asked me, can you volunteer, can you help me out? I'm like, sure. Like I'm a realtor. I was a realtor also at that point, and it's like, I'm going to help you out, of course. I mean, I felt honored. Like you know stuff which I don't, but I know how to put together an event. So I kind of blend out. And Andrew, to a point, like yes, that was one of the first events that we started, the multifamily investing network of Massachusetts, which we had amazing speakers at, and it ran for 4 years until we moved to Florida, and now someone else is still running it. Like we just replaced ourselves with someone else, which you're supposed to do in business anyway. And
Yeah.
so yeah, my skills that I didn't think I needed in hospitality is helping me right now with connecting and building relationships. And Alchemist Nation has been like so welcoming and entertaining. So of course I say yes, I'm going to be doing all of it at once.
That first event that you were
Oh,
part
it's
of and you helped
really-
build in Massachusetts, I mean, obviously for me, I remember because that's where I met Walter in person for the first time, and obviously, a lot of other people. And that was like the only second time I'd seen you because we met at a networking event, in Orlando. Because at the end of the day, you know, power of networking. And I remember walking into that event and I was like, what is going on right now? Because like we have meetups down here in Florida and it's like, 30, 40, 50 people. I got to this place, it was slammed. Like you felt like you were at a Friday night crowded bar. There was like at least 150 plus people there. Like it took over the whole top level of this bar. And like when I say like top level, like, you know, it was the full floor. It's just like it was a 2-story thing. They had a restaurant downstairs, and I was like, holy, what is going on? And you know, there was a speaker, it was pretty good, but the networking really was just next level. I mean, especially for me, because I was new to that market, and it was just fire. And I feel like just the success of that event has just, you know, continued for you in terms of just the dividends from that event, the people, the network that built from that event. And then you kind of took that success and now you've extrapolated it into essentially doing nationwide events for Alchemist Nation. And, you know, all those local events, I think can and will be just as successful as the one that you built up in Massachusetts. And what's beautiful about it is that, you know, there's local people that run these events, and anyone that's looking to build their network and even like, you know, kind of be looked at as an authority in a way can host these events, or attend these events that are in their town. And the beauty is you'll get direction from Darina on these events, and you know, her track record speaks for itself. So awesome opportunity for people, anyone that's involved with Alchemist Nation or wants to get involved and host a local event or attend, you know, a local event if one already exists. It's definitely a good opportunity.
Thank you. I think it's all about intention also, because when I was hosting that event, that I remember, I was so thrilled to introduce you to Gwalder, because I felt like I knew these two players and finally they are meeting each other. It's intention. Seriously, like if you think like you're gonna come into an event and just sort of see how it goes, you may not have as much of a success than if you know, okay, I'm here to serve, I'm here to ask questions, I'm here not to talk about myself, I'm here to connect, and I'm here to collect. And you have to have an intention behind you not only hosting an event, but also going to an event. And when people come in, and they have all kinds of options to go to other events, but when you come to your event, you want to make them feel special. And I think an Alchemist Nation would provide the good space. And we also teach, like, okay, you're going to ask them about them and listen. That's why you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So you can listen twice as much than you talk. And so then when you listen, you're already winning, because typically, well, think about it. If you go to a typical event, you're just like, everybody's just like telling what they do and how you have to work with them and what they sell and what kind of clientele. But like, just if you're that person to listen, then you have a much greater success of deepening relationships. And I think that's the space that Alchemist events provide, where people can be heard and they have full opportunity to self-express themselves without being interrupted or without being sold. And so I take these skills together with all the books that we're reading and all the communication skills, and just provide a space. And so when you're hosting an event, you want to host an event, of course, Alchemist Nation is just has all the tools. Just keep that in mind. You want to have an intention, and you come to the event, whatever role you play, you have an intention behind that. Then you can stick the course or stay the course.
Either works.
You know, whatever language.
As long as there's intention involved.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great point. I mean, even, you know, people want to come to the 100 Millionaires Summit, which, you know, the 2023 summit's coming up in November, first weekend of November. And obviously that's, you know, your baby, so to speak. That's the, you know, grand event of all the events. And when people come to that event, it's like you should come with an intention. And, you know, that could be based on what you've seen in terms of the speakers that are going to be there and the topics that are going to be presented, or it could just be to network with people because you know you're going to be in a room that is mixed with people that are very successful financially, people that are very successful spiritually, people that are early in the journey, people that are, retired from their jobs and, just invest, like all the things, right? So there's opportunity, but like Darina said, you got to go with some kind of intention. Otherwise, you kind of just a boat without a destination, just getting knocked around, floating in the sea.
Be the tide, not the
Yeah.
boat.
Set the sail.
So when it comes to your intention, Darina, for you personally, like, do you dive fully and focus fully intention wise onto the next thing, or do you like, because right now I know we're building the events across the country and we got the summit coming up, so those are like the immediate intentions, but like, do you have your eyes on like the next level for you? Like, what does that look like?
Well, 100 Millionaires Summit, I feel like it's my baby. And so I want that baby to grow. And I see, even like I'm looking at my background, my other monitors, it's 10,000 people at the event. It just, when you do vision boards, you have to visualize. So you put images all over your walls or desktop background. I see the summit to be a 10,000 people event. It could be as soon as next year. And that's what makes me grow, and I'm excited about it. And I'm thinking like, okay, now we're like, I'm a logistic person, so I'm thinking, okay, what kind of company do we need to hire to have registration, or what kind of company do we need to hire to check people in, all kinds of stuff. So I'm seeing that to be truth. I see it from the wish fulfilled, and I see it as it's already happened. As far as 300 locations, I see it's 300 locations across the country. People are super stoked about that, and they have 100 people at each event, just like we had at multifamily meetup. That may take a few years, and I'm okay with that, because what else are you going to do with your time? It's going to pass anyway. So yeah, I have big plans. I'm excited, and I'm a high I and D, and so if there's a party, invite me. I'm gonna show up.
There you go. This is true. For anyone that doesn't know what she's referencing, it's the DISC personality profile. So there's 4 letters, and she mentioned her 2 most dominant ones. It's usually how it works. Everyone's got, 1 or 2 dominant letters. So if you're curious about that, I'm pretty sure, I think on Alchemist Nation, there's a way to take DISC,
So we
right?
have, obviously, yes, on alchemistnation.com, we do have a couple of articles about DISC,
Perfect.
DISC, but I am preparing new pins for the summit with the letter DICS. Everybody's gonna get a pin with different color and different letter during the exercise on day 1. So it's gonna be bigger than last year. It's gonna be really amazing. Yeah, so you won't
Cool.
know, like, if you don't know what disc profiling is, it will be an hour conversation. You're gonna figure out who you are a little more. And so yes, hi, we're just talking about like people who loves other people and being surrounded with some sort of entertainment and fun and party. And the summit is a party. It is a party. You don't want to miss it. You're going to have a major FOMO for the rest of the year if you don't go.
It is. It is a educational event and a party wrapped into one, or as I like to say, and I've said on other episodes, edutainment.
Yeah,
And
true.
that's what you got to do. It gets the people going.
Yeah, think about it. It's the end of the year. A lot of people actually, they contemplate on their results. They see where they are. It's the last quarter for your business. It's the last quarter for your goals, and the last 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks before you can hit the goals. So if you're behind, the summit is the event to catch up, to reset, to see where you've missed, so you can really like just 10x or 5x, whatever strategy you decide to use to accomplish or get close to the goals you're set. And so, and then of course, we talk about the year of 2024. Like, how does that look for you? How does it help your family? How does it help your goals, your health, wealth, relationships? So summit is something, it's almost like, you know, we have fiscal year, we have calendar year. It's a start to something new you, and it's where the community from all over, and these 300 locations come together once a year. You only have one chance, just once a year. There's no other events. So it's Orlando, and it's something that has been born from multiple people's requests. Like, how can we all get together to grow, to learn, to connect? How can I meet you in person, because we had COVID, and it, you know, we saw each other on Zooms. And that's an event that is extremely affordable, by the way, and it's worth 100 times more of what you're going to pay in cash value, in a proportion of real value.
Nice. Value add. That's always the goal. Providing more value.
More value.
Yeah. And I mean, Andrew, I don't know if you noticed it. So it's funny because there's been a couple themes with Darina sharing, you know, just her outlooks and her story. And, you know, earlier we talked about action, and then she started talking about intention, right? And when you asked her about, you know, events and kind of like, you know, what's the big picture? And she focused on the summit and growing that to, you know, and the vision board with 10,000 people, whatever, right? So she has this whole event architecture and this whole intention, right, of what she wants to do with it. And it's just like cycling back to, it's like, all right, I'm doing this. What's my intention with this, right? So it's like, all right, there's all these locations, and then there's the summit, and it's like, what's my intention with that? It's my intention is to basically impact 10,000 people, right? That's the goal. Get them all that, right? So that's the themes I've picked up on, is action and intention. So look, there you go. She's sharing. For
That's
those
the
that aren't
one.
watching the video and listening on audio, she just switched her screen to show basically what is her vision board, and it's a event room that's clearly got what probably is 10,000 people in it. That is a big, big room.
It's everywhere. I'm surrounded by it. Yes.
That's so awesome.
That is incredible. Okay, so the themes are intention and action, right? So I have a question. I'll play devil's advocate for the people out there who maybe are not like Darina, and then they have an intention and immediately just take all the action, right? Because I feel like a lot of times I come across people, and sometimes even in my own experience, where you have an intention, but then whatever, maybe you have a bad day, things come up. Not everybody's always super focused. So what is it for you? Because you're able to do a lot more than most people do, right? You're not the average person. You're growing and growing and growing, always advancing. What are the things, whether they're beliefs or like something that keeps you focused inside you, that allows you to always be connecting your intention with your action, regardless of like ups and downs?
Well, it was not always this way for me. I had to really figure out who I was inside versus to be congruent with the outside, if it makes sense, because sometimes we are presented an idea and we grab onto it, and later on we realize, well, excuse me, that's not exactly what I wanted, or it doesn't sit right, doesn't feel good. So I think for you, you have to make sure that you check your outside and your picture on Instagram or Facebook, and your all wonderful stories that look so happy with who you are inside. So it did take me a little bit to match what I want and how other people want to see me, to feel good about it. And if you match that, if you're congruent with who you are inside and outside, then it's so easy to stay focused, to open up to creativity, and then in taking suggestions, or sometimes you wake up with an idea because you're just like feeling your lane, and inside out it just overall feels good to you. If you're going after something that's someone else told you to do, and you're trying your best and it just doesn't work out, but you're still trying your best and trying your best, eventually your body, your mind, your spirit gives in and sends you all kinds of different signs that it's not for you. So you just want to make sure it's for you. So what do you do? It's for you. Because sooner or later it will show up because it's not for you. So just be careful and make sure your intuition is there, you know, listen to it. And so that's the only advice, honestly. Like, if you are feeling good about it, what you do, then you just go on and you can conquer mountains. You know, sometimes marathon runners, if you were not motivated to do it, they would never do it. But they have some certain goals assigned to it. And it feels crazy they're around 100 miles, but they do it because to them it feels right. If it doesn't feel right, they will be like mile two, like, oh my God, just take me out of track. I'll be like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But if it's good, if it feels like you're going for a mission, for a reason that is inside and out, then I mean, it becomes really easy. A summit is easy. It's just the idea, like, tell as many people as possible.
No, that makes sense. So it seems like what you're saying, it feels like what you're saying is actually, it goes back to, we were interviewing someone else on the podcast previously, and he brought up a proverbs that says people die for lack of vision. And so like what you're saying is it's important to develop your own personal vision, even if that fits into someone else's vision, because that's what's sustainable. That's what's going to keep you focused. It's easy to focus if you know where you want to go, essentially.
It's true, because
Don't do that.
honestly, people say you have to have your purpose, you have to have your vision, you have to, and so I feel like honestly, people compete whose vision is better or purpose is better. And it's like, oh, I want to go to Mars. Well, damn, I just want to be happy. Like, my vision is not as good as Elon Musk, for example. Like, then now I'm not as good, or am I not good enough, or how am I supposed to treat that or evaluate that? So I think it's okay to have whatever vision you have, as long as you do things moral, ethical, legal, you don't harm anybody. Whether you just want to be happy, because if you're happy, like, everybody else is around you actually picks up on that, or you want to change the whole biodiversity of planet Earth. One of the conversations me and Walter have is to making sure we save biodiversity on coastlines of the United States, because people overpopulating. So like, how can we fix that? There's like a whole other conversation. But my vision, like, I want to be the best version of myself. And then Alchemist Nation was born in minds of Walter and Ron, and I associated myself with that, and I feel good about it. It's not necessarily mine, but I feel really, really good to attach myself to it. So your purpose, your goal, you don't have to compete with anybody who's in what, and you can just attach yourself with someone else. Some people like work for Tesla because that's all they believe in it, right? They want to do it. So people go and work for Grant Cardone because they believe that changing, 8 billion people's lives is important. So people come and join Alchemist Nation because they believe that going and building a city in the desert is important, or creating events over 300 locations so we can change the way the landlording is. If that's what feels good to you, then do it. It doesn't have to be yours. It has to feel good to you and feel natural.
Well, yeah, you're being, essentially being part of a vision that, is congruent with what you kind of believe and what you want, like, because the bottom line is, like, there's no reality where everybody has a vision of their own that's completely different than everybody else's.
Right.
There's just not enough things to do. Like, there's going to be a lot of people that have similar visions. And, whether it's, like you said, using Tesla as an example, with just people that are like, I want there to be all electric cars on the roads and no more combustion engine and, and emissions from oil and gas. right? That's a passion, a vision, a belief that it's like, all right, well, how can I make headway on this? Oh, I can work for Tesla and help basically get more electric cars on the road, right? So I think you make a good point when you talk about like there's no need to compare. It's just like, find some kind of vision, passion, and then it's like, well, how can I now, partake in this? Is it something I'm going to create myself from scratch, or is there something already going that I can become part of to help move that vision forward?
Right, right. And no, hey, I love spending my time riding horses. I don't want to sit there and create my unique vision where I honestly like I already have one because I attach myself to Alchemist Nation and being the best version of myself. And that's it. That's all I need. That's all makes me feel good. And I agree, Mitch, that sometimes our ego comes out where we think we have to create something from scratch. We don't. We can
Yeah,
all be just joining other missions and other visions that just in tune with our own beliefs.
absolutely.
Make it easy.
Yeah,
Don't think
right.
too much.
Don't overcomplicate it.
Don't overcomplicate. Don't overthink.
So obviously, in this episode, we talked a lot about the 100 Millionaires Summit and Alchemist Nation, which rightfully so, given that, we're here with the event architect and, a big piece of Alchemist Nation on a whole. But one thing that we do like to ask our guests that are actively involved with the community is how has Alchemist Nation kind of impacted your life, or, what memorable experiences or what you've gotten out of it, or just whatever is gives you the feel goods.
Feels good, yes, and I love feeling good. I think Alchemist Nation is like for me, it's the ultimate like network, but in my head I even think like a network, like dots connecting. That has everything you want, whether you're looking for partners, security, safety net, friends, like we are friends. Or if you're looking for, I mean, you can find your spouse too, I guess. I mean, it's a community that is full of alchemists where we create, we don't compete. So whatever you have in your mind, you can fully express and create something tangible out of your expressions or thoughts. And I think Alchemist Nation is just really a unique space where people come together to fully express themselves and grow. And personally, I've made a ton of friends. I've made a ton of connections. I built with people that I wouldn't build otherwise. Like I'm making an offer right now on the real estate with someone from Alchemist Nation, right? And I've met someone else to do my 1031 exchange and DST and all of that through Alchemist Nation. So anything, it just comes down to that funnel. It's almost like, this time glass,
Yep.
with the sand. So this is all of you, and then the center is Alchemist Nation and comes down with all the results. So you have a lot of options and you narrow it down to Alchemist Nation. Anything can happen in there and the results flow. And so Alchemist Nation just being like the ultimate platform for success, for trips to Aruba or Raton, to deals, to meetups, to events, to the summit, to my spouse,
And
everything.
the ultimate network for you.
It's an ultimate network. It's an ultimate network, and it's so safe because people fall off if they don't belong there. That's it. And they stay if they do. It just
That's
happens.
awesome. That's so awesome. So yeah, this has been awesome. And anyone that wants to meet the infamous Darina in person, come to the 100 Millionaire Summit this November, first weekend of November in Orlando, the 2023 summit. And I already know it's going to be an epic event because Darina is the one that organized it. And again, thank you so much for joining us. I know I enjoyed it. I picked up a couple of themes that make things a little more simple in terms of how to approach everything from events to just how to approach, endeavors. So, and I think that's the beauty in it. Sometimes it doesn't need to be complicated. And like you said, keep it simple. So awesome stuff. Thank you so much for sharing. And look forward to seeing you soon at the summit.
Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Darina, thank you for being a guest. Hey, one last thing real quick. While you have the Ultimate Network and all the attention of it right now, and whoever else comes into it in the future, what's one final thought you'd like to share with the Alchemist Nation community?
Well, final thoughts. It's actually on the back of my phone. It always seems impossible until it's done.
Boom. Mic drop.
So just think about
I
it.
love it. And obviously, people can find you on Alchemist Nation. And
Facebook, Instagram.
yep,
I'm blessed with the name. So Darina is really just one Darina. Like you just type Darina
she's like
Pogodina.
Madonna. She just got one name. She only needs one name.
Yes.
That's so awesome. Awesome. Cool, cool, cool. Thank you so much again for joining us. I really enjoyed it. And we will see all of you on the next episode of the Alchemist Nation podcast.
All right. See
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.